that has stood out through the meeting is our collective commitment to address the plight of those who are forced to flee from their homes, to transform an opportunity what is look like a threat. It is worth noting, as has been variously stated, that no one chooses to be displaced. This is therefore a responsibility of all of us to treat displaced persons humanely and with dignity. With the ever-increasing numbers of displaced persons and the current context of declining humanitarian and development assistance, our resolve to assist and support refugees will be tested to the limit. But I know that we will remain steadfast in hosting and supporting our brothers and sisters. The progress that you have done at the national level as well as the regional level are well recognized by the international community for IGAD regions. I would like to commend here the strong leadership and visions demonstrated by His Excellency, the Executive Secretary of IGAD, to advocate and voice the situation of the refugees and the forcibly displaced population to the international forums to attract the attention of this vulnerable population hit by the conflicts, wars, and climate change. I want to appreciate all our partners who have stood in solidarity with our member states. I can recognize the participation of the European Union, one of the stronger, donor in this area we stand. I'm very happy to find here Mr. Pereiro, here, the head of the cooperation. I recognize also Mr. Halter, the EU head of cooperation in Djibouti. I am also encouraged by the new partners who have expressed willingness to support the platform. I also wish to commend the refugees representatives who have taken an active role in shaping our regional discussion and priority. I know that progress may seem slow for majority of the displacement affected population, but I am convinced that as a region, we are headed in the right direction in promoting the protection and durable solution for all the affected population. That's why IGAD Executive Secretary has invited today all the institutions, that we are together, committed, and make achievement. I want, on behalf of all the participants, address my thankful to His Excellency, the Executive Secretary of IGAD. With these remarks, it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency, Dr. Workene Gebeyu, to deliver his welcome remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Musa. Your Excellency Kichumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration, Republic of Kenya, our gracious host. Your Excellency Said Noor Hassan, Minister of Interior, Republic of Djibouti, our Chair. Your Excellency Ali Yusuf Ali Hos, Minister of Interior, Federal Affairs and Reconciliation, Federal Republic of Somalia. Your Excellency Honorable Albino Akol Atak, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Republic of South Sudan. Your Excellency David Mohozi, Minister of Internal Affairs, Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency Tayyiba Hassan, Director General of Refugee Affairs, the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. Excellencies, representatives from UN agencies, World Bank, African Development, European Union, UNHCR, UNDP, civil society, all protocols are observed. Let me begin with a stark, simple truth. In a region where 26.3 million people live away from their homes, not by choice but by circumstances, we can no longer treat mobility as an expectation. It is woven into our history, our economies, and our very geography. As we gather here in Nairobi for this ministerial stocktake of the IGAD support platform, our responsibility is to address this reality with clarity, unity, and seriousness of the purpose. That is why IGAD is here to bring all of you, our member states, here together. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to our host country, the Republic of Kenya, whose long-lasting leadership in regional cooperation and refugee inclusion continue to anchor our shared work. We also deeply appreciate the Republic of Djibouti for the leadership, chairmanship, under the leadership of His Excellency Ismail Omar Gile. Excellencies, consider this. There are 123 million displaced people throughout the world, enough to circle the earth twice. If they formed a country, it would be the world's 10th largest in the world, yet without land or a voice of their own. Now let us bring closer to home, to our region. This is the equivalent of half of our IGAD region's population, which is 300 million. Half of our brothers and sisters losing their homes overnight, with no shelter, no protection, no certainty of return. Unthinkable, yes. Yet we are not far from living that reality, and we are living with this reality. Right here in IGAD region, Your Excellencies, we host 5.1 million refugees. That is 70% of whom are women and children. That means 1 in every 5 refugees on earth has sought shelter here with us, here in our region. When we widen the lens to the whole of Africa, the picture becomes even more striking. More than 70% of our continent's displaced population either originates from or it hosted right here in IGAD region. So we are the wealthiest in terms of the refugees. Displacement at this scale is not a temporary condition. It is a reflection of structural pressure that demand long-term vision rather than short-term reaction. This is a challenge that no country, no region, no matter how generous or well-meaning to is, can handle these all challenges. One country cannot handle these all challenges in one. This is precisely why, since 2017, the Nairobi Declaration, its thematic action plan adopted in Djibouti, Kampala and Mombasa have driven a decisive shift toward durable, development-oriented and approaches of displacement. The IGAD member states and host communities have strengthened access for refugees and displaced population to national system in education, health, livelihoods, and improved policy environment that link humanitarian response with development planning. With strong support from you, Your Excellencies, our member states, our core group partners who are here and who are not here, IGAD has built a credible regional system for harmonized data, policy alignment, and cross-border cooperation. The IGAD support platform, which I was privileged to be part of its launch during the 2019 Global Refugee Forum, has been pivotal in sustaining this momentum. It brought us together as a member state and united us with partners here and around the world. The two regional pleas we made in 2023 focus on the core issues at the heart of the displacement: comprehensive solutions and climate action. These pleas signal that IGAD is determined to match political commitments with measurable reforms and evidence-based policies and data. Africa has long stood at the forefront of progressive protection norms, from the Organization of African Unity Refugee Convention to the Kampala Convention. The Nairobi process under IGAD continues this leadership, and it is something for which all of us should be very proud. It is an African-designed, African-led framework grounded in solidarity, responsibility sharing, and state capacity and a common cooperation. The IGAD Refugee Engagement Forum and our regional monitoring framework reinforces this direction by bringing greater accountability and structured inclusion into our regional work. Excellencies, dear colleagues, as a result, we are seeing tangible progress across the IGAD region, one day and one nation at a time. Djibouti is strengthening asylum systems. Ethiopia and Kenya are integrating refugees into national development strategies. Uganda is advancing self-reliance models that inspire not only our region, but which inspire the world. Somalia is driving reintegration efforts. South Sudan and Sudan are coordinating across borders despite the challenge, the conflict that we are seeing. These efforts demonstrate the power of regional action anchored in national ownership by our member states. Our partners, most notably the European Union, the World Bank, Germany, Sweden, UNHCR, UNDP, and many others have been indispensable in translating this political will to practical results. Yes, as we meet here today, the pressure on our region continues to be intensified. Climate events are accelerating displacements. Physical constraints strain national service delivery. Conflict dynamics continue to uproot communities. Without a strengthened and coordinated system, together, this pressure will only grow. As we embark on this stock-taking exercise, Your Excellencies, I encourage all of you to focus our unity around three priorities. Number one, sustained political leadership. By adopting a clear communique that affirms member states' commitment to ongoing inclusion and protection reforms ahead of Global Refugee Forum 2025 Progress Review. Number two, stronger regional coordination by agreeing to use the IGAD monitoring framework as our common reporting tool, enabling us to present one credible regional narratives in December 2025 rather than fragmented national narratives. Number three, enhanced and diversified partnership by expanding participation in support platform and mobilizing multi-year investments for education, livelihoods, basic services, and climate services. So these are the three basic points that we suggest as IGAD Secretariat to Your Excellencies to consider and to adopt that will take us to the world stage with unified voices. Finally, Your Excellencies, a region that manages displacement effectively is a region that strengthens its stability, enhances its resilience, and deepens its integration. The decision we take in this room, you take in this room, will shape IGAD's contribution to Africa's broader aspiration of peace, prosperity, and shared security. Let this be our legacy. The ministers, excellencies, the ministers here. The region where mobility is well governed, a region where solutions are genuinely shared, and a region where the resilience of each of our countries strengthens the resilience of all of us. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Workene. Excellency, you've made it very clear that as a region, we have clarity of intent towards durable solutions. We have very strong partnership, coordination among member states and partners, and we have full political support of member states so that the IGAD Secretariat is able to lead the coordination of member states on finding durable solutions for refugees, IDPs, host communities, and returnees. Excellency, allow me call next distinguished delegate, the representative of UNHCR, the Convention Agency on Refugees. Please, Your Excellency Martin, please address the gathering.
Thank you very much for that welcome. Your Excellency, Honorable Kipchumba Merkomen, Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Your Excellency, IGAD Executive Director, Secretary Dr. Workene Gebrehtu, distinguished excellencies representing IGAD member states, distinguished delegates, colleagues, partners, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, and a very good morning to you. On behalf of UNHCR, I am honored to join you for this important ministerial stock-taking meeting ahead of the Global Refugee Forum Progress Review meeting next month. Allow me to begin by thanking the IGAD Secretariat for convening us and for your continued leadership in displacement, on issues of inclusion, and on solutions in the region. IGAD remains the critical partner for UNHCR, and I would like to underline that. An indispensable champion of collective progress for the millions of refugees and forcibly displaced persons across the region. Today's meeting is not simply a routine review. It is a pivotal moment to step back, take an honest look at what we have achieved, and identify what more we must do together to deliver on the GRF pledges made by member states and partners. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, the IGAD region continues to demonstrate remarkable leadership in advancing refugee inclusion and self-reliance. Few regions in the world have articulated such comprehensive and political framework for refugee protection as IGAD has. Through the Nairobi process, the Djibouti Declaration on Education, the Kampala Declaration on Jobs and Livelihoods, and the IGAD Support Platform. These various initiatives point to the leading work of IGAD. These continental leading frameworks are not just declarations written on paper. They are living commitments that guide action across member states and development partners. Over the past GRF cycle, we have seen encouraging progress. Several member states have taken important steps to expand refugee inclusion in national systems, whether in education, health, social protection, civil registration, or labor markets. Progress on strengthening refugee data systems, including through the IGAD Regional Data Sharing Protocol, is improving the quality of evidence available for planning and resource mobilization. And this point is very dear to my heart as the head of our Strategic Planning and Management Service, where if you have quality data and evidence, the plan and the implementation that comes after that is assured. Initiatives under the IGAD Free Movement Protocol are gradually opening new discussions around mobility pathways. And in various countries, we have seen strong national leadership and promising examples of local integration and area-based development. These achievements deserve recognition and should be applauded. They reflect political will, technical capacity, and the commitment of governments and communities who host refugees with dignity and generosity. At the same time, we must acknowledge the significant challenges that threaten the sustainability of these gains. The region continues to face immense pressures. The conflict in the Sudan has triggered mass displacement and rising humanitarian needs. Somalia and South Sudan remain affected by protracted crisis. Climate shocks and economic constraints are placing additional pressures on local systems and budgets. And financing for refugee response and inclusion is not keeping pace with needs. Many pledge commitments remain partially implemented, often due to limited funding and capacity constraints at the national and subnational levels, or lack of coordinated support. It is therefore important that we collectively identify where we need to prioritize collective investments and how to mobilize donors, development actors, and the private sector to scale up support. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, this stocktake is not only about looking backwards. It is also about shaping a forward-leaning regional agenda and a valuable opportunity to build a coherent message that fully reflects IGAD's leadership and our shared commitments towards our displaced brothers and sisters. We encourage member states and partners to consider areas where renewed or strengthened commitments are needed. Opportunities for joint pledges under thematic areas such as education, jobs, climate resilience, and mobility. The ways to ensure that pledges are costed and indeed costed. One of the things that we've come to learn is pledges are made, they're not well costed, and it therefore is not implemented adequately. So pledges are costed, they are implementable, and aligned with national development plans. Very important. UNHCR stands ready to support governments and IGAD in this regard. Finally, let me emphasize that delivering on the GRF vision requires a whole-of-society approach. Governments cannot do this alone. We need development banks, and this is why it's very heartwarming to learn just this week that the World Bank has offered to provide Uganda a grant, not a loan, to pay for teacher salaries in over 90 or so refugee hosting districts in Uganda. And those of you who are not aware, Uganda has gazetted, coded schools, hospitals into the national system. But due to funding shortages, this year, several thousands, hundreds of thousands of school children face the risk of, particularly next year, face the risk of not going to school because salaries for teachers cannot be paid. So it is very heartwarming to learn that the World Bank is willing to give Uganda a grant in order to be able to ensure these kids can go to school. So again, we need development banks, donors, UN agencies, local authorities, civil society, and the private sector working in true partnership, aligned with national priorities and the IGAD regional frameworks to do this. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, the IGAD region has proven time and time again that it can lead with ambition, compassion, and clarity of purpose. As we begin this meeting, I encourage us to engage openly, analyze rigorously, and think boldly. The work we do today will shape the direction of the region's commitments, and ultimately, it will shape the future of millions of displaced people who look to us for hope and solutions. Your Excellencies, colleagues, I thank you most sincerely. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you very much. And the IGAD Secretariat appreciates the very strong relationship that we have on the technical and political front towards durable solutions in the region. And I would like most sincerely to appreciate the heartwarming message that the bank gave a grant for the teachers to be available for the children in the Republic of Uganda. Our guest of honor, I hope you'll extend the request for the rest of the member states, because that's really good news. Excellency, you also mentioned a very important thing, that is the issue of the data sharing protocol for IGAD region. And the Secretariat has taken note of that, and with this leadership, His Excellency Dr. Workene will follow up on this because it's very important. Excellency, please allow me invite our sister representing the refugees in the region, Monica, to address the meeting. Monica, welcome.
The guest of honor, Honorable Murkome, IGAD representatives and their leadership, ministers from different countries, partners of IGAD, refugees, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As I stand here today to talk about refugees and representation, I want to be intentional on what representation of refugees could make impact. Oftentimes, I have represented people in different capacities. Like when I was a student at the University of Nairobi, I represented students. I have represented students at the General Assembly in New York. I have represented refugees and youth in different platforms. And my question has always remained to be, what is representation? When we are called to come and stand here to do representation, how intentional are you? Are we here, or am I here standing to represent refugees to tick boxes? or do my representation mean impact? And today, from the reflection of the 2 days that we have had, we have sat, we have been part of the discussion. But I didn't see a permanent representative of refugees in IGAD, yet they're talking about the issues of refugees. Me coming here on the first day or being invited, there are many other meetings and forums that IGAD have sat down discussing issues of refugees. But then today I'm here, tomorrow it will be a different person, or next year it will be a different person sitting in these forums to discuss issues refugees. And this brings the gap in representation of refugees. And to the governments, to the partners of IGAD and IGAD itself, my message to you today is we need permanent representation, even in Shirika Plan and inclusion of integration of refugees. Can't we we don't have to be called every other day to represent on a specific topic in a specific day. And this is the reason. For example, when the discussions of integration of refugees started, there were discussions, deliberations, people disagreed to agree at the end part of it. But then, as refugees were represented with resolutions, we were not part of what was discussed to end up with what today we call important deliberations for refugees. And for that, I talk on education. Education for refugees is the reason as to why I'm standing here today. I'm not a daughter of a minister, I'm not a daughter of anybody. But because of education, it has made me stand before you today. But if you can see, there is gaps, and every other year there is reduction in funding for education for refugees and for everyone else, for every other youth. So what are we doing to close up the gap? And as the refugees, we're not here only to represent. We come as experts. I am a lawyer. I'm no longer just a refugee. But then if I stand here as a lawyer, can I be in an area of my expertise? And as refugees, as we stand here before you today, we long for solutions. And if you can see from the reports that you have had every other day, we have realized that IGAD members, like for example, in the case of the country I come from, South Sudan. South Sudan is hosting refugees, and South Sudan is having the largest number of refugees outside. Why can't we make peace the most ultimate thing that we are looking forward to? That we have to have South Sudanese hosting refugees, and we have South Sudanese who are refugees in other countries. Why can't we make peace our priority? Do we have to sit down every day talking of what we need to do for refugees? Governments are here, they are represented. These are the same governments who can bring peace in our countries. These are the same governments who sit and say, we need to talk on how to solve issues of refugees, but they're not bringing peace in the countries. Are we being intentional with what we want? We are tired. And even we're talking of integration. For me, it's my biggest fear because from day one I left my country, my aim has always been going back home. Can we make going back home a priority, apart from other solutions we bring about and we discuss? Because if IGAD is hosting the neighboring countries, if we are becoming safe for Sudan, for Sudanese, why are we not making South Sudan safe for South Sudanese? If Djibouti, if other countries, if Somalia is hosting refugees from other countries, why can't we make peace our priority? And why can't we advocate for peace? We are tired of every day talking as refugees because in as much as Kenya is hosting us, Kenya has done good for me because my education system, my entire education life, I studied in Kenya. To the point I became the student president at the University of Nairobi. But then I don't belong. Not because Kenya is not giving me opportunities, but because I always long to go back home. Of course, we always say home is where the heart belongs. Of course, you are here today discussing all this, but governments, people who are sitting here, our priority, I always keep repeating it, is going back home. So let's stop talking on issues on how to solve problems of refugees. Of course, it's been there in years. I just heard the other day UNHCR is celebrating 75 years of serving refugees. What are we doing to make home safe? I want to go back to South Sudan because I've studied in Kenya, of course, and from day one, I've always wanted to go back home. So let's shift our priorities. Let's advocate for safe countries. Because donors are getting tired, and if donors are getting tired, we just have to stop calling on governments, on donors to keep funding us. We have to call on our governments to know we don't belong in the, we belong, we are treated well, but we don't have the sense of belonging. So to my minister, when you go back to our country, say that we need to go back home. South Sudan is safe for Sudanese, and us, we have to go back home because it's not safe always, in as much as it is safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our very distinguished sister representing refugees. What you have actually emphasized on is the most important: peace, security, and stability of our member states. And we are very glad that all our honorable ministers are here, and His Excellency, the Executive Secretary, who's always seized on the matter of peace and security in our region, is here. The IGAD Chair, His Excellency, the Minister for Interior, is here representing President of the Republic of Djibouti is here, and our host. So we are very grateful. You have highlighted and emphasized on the issue of peace, security, and stability. Thank you very much for your contribution. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, I would like to invite a very strong partner of IGAD and its member states, the European Union, represented by His Excellency George Pereiro Pinho. Please, you're welcome, Excellency, to make some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, Mr. Saif Nuh Hassan, Minister of Interior of the Republic of Djibouti and IGAD Chair, Excellencies, Ministers of the IGAD member states here present, His Excellency Dr. Wogne Gebeye, IGAD Executive Secretary, the Deputy Director, UNHCR Deputy Director for Eastern and Southern Africa, Martin Mathieu, Excellencies, representatives of the platform, or the platform's core group members, partners, colleagues, good morning to you all. Allow me first to express apologies on behalf of the Ambassador of the European Union to the Republic of Kenya, Henriette Geiger. She would very much be willing to be here today. She's out of the country this week, and therefore has asked me to represent her as head of cooperation of the EU delegation to Kenya. So on behalf of the European Union and the IGAD Platform's core group, it's my pleasure to deliver to you our opening statement ahead of today's final deliberations. I think we all are proud to be contributors to this platform. And I would say that this platform, the IGAD platform, is now more relevant than ever, perhaps. It's a complex environment country. In South Sudan, 2.5 million people remain displaced, in addition to 600,000 refugees. Conflict still affects Somalia, Ethiopia. But further than conflict, we have the regional threat, of course, of climate change and its consequences. This multiplies the risks of displacement. In 2024, the Horn of Africa region 7 countries recorded 1.3 million internal disaster displacement, mostly for floods and droughts. So in this context, of course, people's movement remains an important resilient strategy for affected communities, either by conflict or by the consequences of climate change. And I think in this regard, we would like, as European Union and core group donor members, to salute IGAD's and IGAD member states' efforts to support local integration, support durable solutions. Indeed, return, local integration, resettlement, and return, as I was saying. Of course, all this takes place in well-existed legal frameworks that have been referred to. They provide guidelines for protection and assistance across the region, 1951 Refugee Convention, its 1967 Protocol, 1969 OAU Convention, and as well, of course, the 2012 Kampala Convention that provide all these guidelines. But we believe that the IGAD platform adds to this and to this legal framework. And I would underline probably three things that the platform is doing. First of all, it supports the Nairobi process, and therefore this, which means basically shifting the response to forced displacement from a humanitarian and security focus to a broader development-oriented framework. Secondly, it has sustained the South Sudan Solutions Initiatives. We are well aware that the challenges now affecting it and linked to conflict and political violence. But in spite of that, we think it achieved important milestones. No less, for example, the launch of the South Sudan National Durable Solutions Strategy and Plan of Action. Thirdly, the platform has contributed to the advancement of the Global Compact for Refugee pledges, including Shirika Plan in Kenya, Mekatet strategy in Ethiopia, which are government-led strategies aimed at transforming traditional refugee camps into more inclusive, self-reliant, and development-oriented settlements. On the EU side, we have been a supporter of the IGAD platform since 2021, with 17.5 million provided so far. And we have focused on two aspects. On the one hand, the support to the Secretariat as such, and helping, contributing to their work in terms of implementation of key platform priority activities, in particular under the Sudan and South Sudan Solutions Initiative. But we have also, of course, provided direct support to the activities that the platform has facilitated. And here we are working mostly through our partners in UNHCR, in Sudan, in South Sudan, Ethiopia, in Kenya, and Uganda. We have focused on regional youth peace building, on data and evidence collection, on registration, on documentation, and on access to basic services. Of course, there are challenges that are present and are there. And I think at three levels, I would say. On the level of the platform itself, we believe that technical coordination meetings, this coordination at technical level has been perhaps insufficiently and not regular enough. And we would call for this to be more regular. At the secretarial level, of course, there are gaps in terms of human resources, and indeed, Secretariat could benefit from increased financial support from IGAD member states as well as from efficiency gains. On the donor side, on the development partner side, we can do more to increase coordination among ourselves and to reduce overlaps. Excellencies, colleagues, let me finalize by extracting some reflections from discussions that have been taking place here on the previous 2 days. On the one hand, as I was saying at the beginning, we are very much aware of the complexities of the current global context. ODA is reducing. The European Union is not in a position to fill the gap that other development partners have left in terms of reducing their contributions. What we are committed to continue to facilitate the coordination, the efficiency engaged, the work of the platform in terms indeed in advancing on durable solutions for return, as I was saying today, for local integration as well when this is not possible. I will also like to underline from the, I think, discussions you have had these 2 previous days, the accent that has been put in terms of the increasing importance of cities as hosting an increasing number of migrants and forced displaced population as such. We are, I think, on our side, happy to adapt to that and dedicate resources to this support to cities, which ideally comes together with an advance on the evolution to local authorities on their capacities regarding forced displacement. Excellencies, partners, colleagues, in closing, let me underline again the European Union commitment to the platform and its efforts for coordination and looking for durable solutions. We will mobilize, as 2026 start, further 15 million euros to continue to fund the work of the Secretariat as well as the activities. We will do that, of course, in coordination with the IGAD Secretariat and with our partners, UNHCR, UN Habitat, UNDP, and we plan to aim in particularly addressing the complex links between climate change, conflict, and increased rapid urbanization, as I was saying. We also we will look to contribute to the strengthening of the IGAD systems, and in particularly improving the coordination between the Secretariat, C1, and ICPAC. And with that, let me allow, on behalf of all core group partners, to thank you all IGAD and its member states to having invited us to this ministerial today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Our deepest appreciation once again to the European Union for a very strong support over time. And in a special way, I would like to inform the conference that the Executive Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Workene, he's actually hosting a very special guest. And he comes with also colleagues from EU headquarters, Brussels. And I just would like to request the EU delegates to stand up, the EU delegate from Brussels and the EU delegate from Juba, and other EU delegates who are here. So Vittorio comes from Brussels. Guest of honor, he has been with us here for 3 days, and we are very happy. Vittorio, you're welcome to the region, and the other delegates from Juba, from Kenya, most welcome to the region. Thank you. Excellency, the IGAD Chair, the Republic of Djibouti, is going to address us, and I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Interior, His Excellency Honorable Said Noah Hassan, to address the meeting. Welcome, Excellency.
Mr. Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen.
Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration, Kenya.
Secretary Executive de l'IGAD.
IGAD Executive Secretary, Dr. Wokne Gibeyu. European Union representatives, the UNHCR representative, the refugee representative from Kenya, the ministers representing IGAD member states here, His Excellency Ali Yusuf Ali, Minister of Interior, Abino Ali Atak, Minister of Interior from South Sudan, David Muhozi, Minister of Interior from Uganda, Director in charge of refugees, the Ethiopia Democratic Federal Republic, the various people who worked very hard here, and distinguished representative of international organization, as well as representative of financial partners here present. I'd like to congratulate you for the work that you have done for the 3 days, which gave us concrete results, and we are going to see them when we are going to sign the communique. Before I give my speech, I'd like to also congratulate Madame Monica, the representative of refugees in Kenya, and I'd like to tell you that your message was received very well. First of all, allow me to express my thanks to the government of the Republic of Kenya for the warm welcome that we have received, as well as to the IGAD Secretariat for exemplary organizing this essential meeting in order for us to continue with our collective action. Allow me also, before going into the heart of our work, to give a message of solidarity, sincere message of solidarity and fraternity to the people of Sudan. The experience that you are undergoing for the last few years is a grave thing. During this particularly difficult time, the Republic of Djibouti, as well as the IGAD member states, renew their support without any reservation, and we have ardent hope to see Sudan being back on the way of peace, stability, and national reconciliation. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond the human preoccupations that we have, our presence in Nairobi is a testimony of our commitment together to come up with the regional responses that are coordinated and ambitious and sustainable to deal with the issue of refugees and displacement, forced displacement across the region. For the last few years, important efforts have strengthened cooperation between states, regional institutions and partners and international partners, in order to ensure that our commitments do not remain theoretic. They have to be translated into concrete action that's measurable and sustainable. It is in this spirit that our region has come up with a strategic framework that is robust for the protection of refugees. This is based on fundamental principles, including the issue of guaranteeing access to protection, judicial, effective protection, ensuring availability of basic services such as education, health, and basic services, as well as the promotion of progressive inclusion of refugees into a national system and economic life of host communities. This framework recognizes also the potential of refugees and their contribution to local development, national development, and regional development. Nevertheless, despite the pertinence of this vision, the context of 2025 remains characterized by very major constraints. Human needs are increasing in a very unsustainable manner, sometimes more rapidly than the available resources, which is putting pressure on budgets of host countries. States should thank you. States should reconcile their sovereign rights, their international obligations, taking into consideration the limited financial capacities. Beyond this, we have to be happy about the significant progress that has been achieved. With modest resources, our countries have remained countries of asylum, ensuring access to basic services and ensuring collaboration with partners in order to promote self-sufficiency, resilience and dignity of refugees. These advances reflect clear political will, the one of including refugees in our approach towards sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, since the special summit of March 2017, which was about sustainable solutions for refugees from Somalia, our region has come up with an approach based on common understanding of challenges and forced displacement. The Nairobi Declaration was a decisive point which helped us to move from a logic which was strictly humanitarian in order to have an approach that was oriented towards development based on regional cooperation and shared responsibility. The IGAD platform is completely involved in this dynamic, integrating the principles of this declaration in its national policies and ensuring protection and access to basic services such as education, health, and livelihoods. Nevertheless, I would like to express some concern that is important regarding the drastic reduction by the UNHCR budget. This happened in 2025, and this has really affected and led to the vulnerability of these refugees. These budget cuts have reduced access to basic services, has fragilized livelihoods, and put pressure on host communities which are already faced with many challenges. This is why I would like to salute the determined role played by IGAD in its constant work to reduce the vulnerability of refugees, strengthening resilience and promoting their inclusion, socio-economic inclusion, and offering a perspective for sustainable solutions. I am also convinced that the platform, the IGAD support platform, is going to continue playing a decisive role in the mobilization of assistance, relieving host countries from these pressures, supporting sufficiency for refugees, and creating conditions for their dignified and sustainable return to their countries. My thanks also go to the European Union, to the World Bank, to the German government, to Sweden, and to all our technical and financial partners for their support in the implementation of the Nairobi Declaration, the Global Compact on Refugees, and the thematic declarations in Djibouti, Kampala, and Mombasa. This Nairobi meeting has several major objectives. To first of all analyze the trends, current trends of forced displacement, to assess accomplished progress and persistent challenges. Nevertheless, we would like to assess the accomplishment in terms of progress of the realization of the Nairobi Declaration, and to revitalize the core group and to improve the number of actors who have been mobilized. Lastly, I remain convinced that IGAD member states are completely mobilized to deal with these objectives, and I am convinced that our coordination between humanitarian actors, development institutions, and technical partners is indispensable in order to ensure dignity, stability, and resilience for those who are affected. In conclusion, as the IGAD president, I would like to reaffirm our commitment for a regional approach, a coherent approach that is based on solidarity, shared responsibility, and inclusive development. We call upon all our partners to intensify their efforts in order to ensure that refugees have dignified life, have equitable access to essential services, and they have a sustainable future. I am convinced that by bringing our efforts together, we can have a region that is more resilient, more stable, and truly supportive. That said, I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Thank you for your guidance, for your real analysis of the situation, but also for positive receipt of the message from our refugee representative. Excellency, also the IGAD Secretariat thanks you as IGAD Chair for your support through the years in which you have been the lead of IGAD member states. Through His Excellency, Dr. Workene, the Executive Secretary of IGAD, I would like to invite our guest of honor, the Cabinet Secretary of Interior National Coordination of the Government of the Republic of Kenya, our senior brother, the Honorable Minister, Onesmus Kipchumba, to address the meeting and also open our conference. Welcome, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. The representative of the IGAD Chair, His Excellency Syed Noor Hassan, the Minister of Interior of the Republic of Djibouti, my colleagues, fellow ministers, representing the various countries present. Maybe let me mention a few of the names. That is Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Interior of Somalia, Albino Akol Atak, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management of the Republic of Southern Sudan, General Babakar Ali, the Interior Minister of Sudan, David Muhoozi, the Minister of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, and the Director of Refugee Affairs of the Republic of Ethiopia, the IGAD Executive Director, Dr. Workene Gabrienu, the UNHCR representative present, the representative of the European Union, the representative of the refugees, and my learned friend, Monica Malit. I'm sure we share an alma mater at the University of Nairobi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. Karibuni Nairobi. Karibu Nairobi, welcome home. I'm pleased to join you today for this important stock-taking meeting on the Nairobi Declaration on Durable Solutions for Refugees and the Global Compact on Refugees. Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the IGAD for convening us and for its continuous leadership in advancing the refugee agenda across our region. I also wish to acknowledge all member states, partners, and stakeholders represented here today for your steadfast commitment to our region's shared priorities and to the pursuit of sustainable solutions for refugees and host communities. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we convene at a time when global displacement has reached levels never seen before, with more than 112 million people now forcibly displaced worldwide, about 6 million of whom are in our region. Conflicts within and beyond our borders continue to generate new waves of displacement, while the impacts of climate change further aggravate the situation. These pressures come as economic shocks have strained national capacities, and host communities continue to shoulder immense responsibilities. The speed and the scale of forced displacement are outpacing the solutions that are available, leaving many displaced population in a prolonged state of limbo with limited opportunities to rebuild their lives. As we reflect on our collective journey, it's important to recall the New York Declaration, later reinforced by the Global Compact on Refugee in 2018, that laid out 4 core objectives to guide the international community. These objectives are to ease pressure on host countries, to enhance refugee self-reliance, which has really been emphasized here, and to expand access to third country solutions, and to support conditions in countries of origin to enable safe and dignified return. And you saw the representative of Refugee Affairs also emphasized this very important point. So these objectives remain as relevant today as they were 7 years ago, and continue to provide a strong basis for coordinated regional and global action. 7 years after the adoption of the GCR, we must be candid with one another. The challenges before us remain substantial. The world is changing rapidly, and our collective response must evolve at the same time. Refugee hosting areas across the IGAD region continue to grapple with rapid population growth, environmental degradation, and overstretched social services, factors that worsen living conditions for both the refugees and host communities. The debate we actually face here in Kenya usually is whether it is the refugees who are feeling the impact of these changes, or is the local community. So there is always, a pull and push whether the refugees are living better life or the local community, because the pressures of life, population, environmental degradation, access to services, climate change, and some of these conditions make the situation difficult for both the hosting communities, particularly the local hosting community, not just the country, and the refugees. At the same time, funding cuts to refugees operations have reached levels never seen before, leaving host countries in an increasingly precarious positions and threatening the progress made in previous years. You will also agree with me that the inward-looking nature of countries that ordinarily and traditionally support refugees, and the fact that we are seeing a backslide of countries from multilateralism to nationalism has really made many of these countries that have been supporting refugees to focus more on their local priorities, local funding, their local security, and many other issues, leaving us vulnerable. And that's why when the representative of Refugee Affairs spoke, I think that is the crux of the matter. For how long shall we be discussing the management of the problem? And when are we going to address the source of this problem? And when can we really purely say that a refugee can go home? Can we make the conditions for them conducive to go home? So as a region, we cannot close our eyes on these issues. And through the IGAD support platform, we have made, of course, significant progress, particularly through thematic declarations aimed at promoting sustainable and durable solutions for refugees that we host. Notably, the Nairobi Declaration on Durable Solutions for Somali Refugees of 2017 endorsed the IGAD's Head of State Summit, endorsed at the IGAD Head of State Summit, the Djibouti Declaration on Refugee Education, and the Mombasa Declaration on Health are extremely important. These commitments embody the principles of protection and inclusion, support for sustainable return and reintegration in countries of origin, and burden and responsibility sharing across member states. As we meet today to take stock, it is essential that we honestly assess whether we are truly meeting the ambitious objectives we set for ourselves. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya experiences in hosting refugees for more than 3 decades, now standing over 860,000 individuals, and together with the experience of your respective countries, offer valuable lessons for the global community. Our refugee hosting countries illustrate how fragile existence intersect with rapid urbanization, climate stress, and increasing pressure on the limited resources. These realities require not only humanitarian interventions, but long-term development-oriented solutions rooted in integrated urban planning, strong national systems, and robust cooperation between national and county or local governments. I just want to say that, even as we talk about integrating refugees and, saying for 35 years they have been in Kenya, this home, and so forth, there are children who are born here who call Kenya home, except for the absence of documentation. The rest, they have no connection except through their parents to the countries they came from. And sometimes when you think about it, that you are telling that person there is somewhere else you need to go, and this is not home, it's extremely difficult. And that's why we need to go to the core issues of are we really Africa? Are we one country, one continent, one people? Do we really subscribe to these geographical boundaries to the extent that we cannot take care of the people born and brought up in our own countries as brothers and sisters? And so the thinking has to shift, because even as we keep focusing on, saying, repatriation to other countries, those other countries are like our countries. If we can make the conditions better here, those people who are born here, who call here home, should find ways of getting reintegrated. To say people have to go to another place. The economy can be able to host. To say people have to go to another place. The economy can be able to host those who are here. The second thing I keep thinking is that there is no way Kenya, for example, can say they can prosper on their own. The more you prosper on your own, the more you attract problems to yourself, because then you have to shoulder greater burden. So it's important for us to take seriously other development agendas, whether it is trade, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is integration as a region and as a continent, so that we have shared prosperity and we can reduce pressure for citizens moving from one part to the other, looking for better life. So now more than ever, as funding constraints affect refugee operations, there is an urgent need to embrace innovative and collaborative approaches across humanitarian development, peace, nexus. This includes aligning policy framework, harmonizing planning between national systems and humanitarian actors, and ensuring that interventions build resilience rather than perpetuate dependency. And I'll be mentioning later when we make national statements on the progress we have made in terms of this sector. So strengthening these linkages is essential to create sustainable pathways for refugees and host communities alike. At the second Global Refugee Forum in 2023, we collectively made a number of pledges aimed at advancing the objectives of Global Compact on the refugees. For Kenya, our principal pledge was through participation in the multi-stakeholder pledge to invest in climate-resilient human settlement. We committed to developing and rolling out the Shirika Plan for refugee and host communities. The plan, launched in March 2025, aligns with Kenya's Refugees Act of 2021 on inclusion and seeks to promote socio-economic empowerment and self-reliance for both refugees and host communities. It also paves the way for the transformation of refugee camps into integrated and sustainable settlements. Central to this agenda is the principle of cooperation and equitable burden and responsibility sharing. Progressive policies and initiatives such as Shirika Plan are at risk if the burden continues to fall disappropriately on host countries. The future of our children, who constitute the largest proportion of the displaced population, is jeopardized if the international community does not act with urgency and purpose. This is why we need the unified IGAD position. As I conclude, I urge all of us to re-examine the objectives of the Global Compact on refugees to ensure that they continue to serve the intended purpose. Let us also take a critical look at the thematic declaration under IGAD and determine how we can strengthen their implementation for greater impact. Finally, I wish to reaffirm Kenya's commitment to fostering sustainable and inclusive solutions that place host communities at the center of development as stipulated in our Shirika Plan. This plan reflects Kenya's belief that refugees should not merely be recipients of assistance, but they are contributors to national and regional development. I wanted to ask Malik, do you practice law here? Okay, very good. So you see, it will be great to see that refugees contribute actively to national development. I keep thinking, you know, when America, for example, Canada, America, Australia, Europe, European countries, when they come taking some of our refugees who have good education or potential or skills, and they take them to their countries, they are headhunting them for purpose of their national development. It's not enough that they are being taken to other countries, but they are contributing to national development, some of them to sports, some of them to art, some of them to, you know, very strong areas. Why should Kenya lock refugees in a camp who are educated, skilled, you know, have the capacity to contribute to growth, and in the process, as they do so, they are able to fend for themselves and contribute to their personal growth. So indeed, Shirika Plan is a great plan, is a really great plan, and I believe that we should be able to help each one of us to be active contributors to our regional development. Kenya stands ready to continue working with IGAD member states and all stakeholders to advance this shared agenda and ensure that no refugee and no host community is left behind. However, the success of such initiatives depend on predictable, sustainable, and well-coordinated support from the international community. As we move forward, I urge all partners to intensify their support in strengthening national systems in education, health, water, infrastructure, and livelihood by providing predictable development financing to sustain long-term refugee inclusion. And I'm very happy with the testimony that comes from Uganda that the World Bank is doing something to support financing education sector. Supporting climate resilient interventions that address the linkage between climate change and displacement, enhancing regional coordination and mobility returns and durable solutions, and enabling voluntary, safe and dignified repatriation where conditions allow. The government of Kenya remains committed to expanding the protection space, even as we call upon our partners to reciprocate through genuine burden sharing, not burden shifting. I look forward to the rich insight and actionable solutions that will emerge from our discussions today. And as we take stock of our progress, let us renew our collective commitment to protecting the
of honor. Honorable Minister, we are very grateful that you're here with us, and thank you so much for those very insightful remarks, and also the commitment of the government of Kenya to be the home for all of us, all the time, historically up to now, but also the commitment of the government of Kenya to work with the member states in the region towards durable solutions. Honorable Minister, there are two things, or three. One is we would like to present the rest of the agenda to the IGAD chair for adoption. The IGAD Secretariat has presented a session for all the member states to present ministerial updates on the country's progress on the implementation of the Nairobi process. Honorable Minister, all IGAD member states are represented here, and those statements will be made in alphabetical order. Honorable Minister, also with the leadership of the Executive Secretary and the team of experts of IGAD Secretariat, and informed deeply by the last 2 days of consultations of experts of IGAD member states and partners, including refugees, civil society, private sector, and academia, we've prepared a communiqué, Honorable Minister. So we seek for your guidance, first with the IGAD chair on the adoption of the agenda, and then secondly on the communiqué. We are ready to hear your guidance.
I'd like to say thank you to the MC. As she already said it, the issue is indeed, we are first of all going to ask the IGAD Secretariat if there is the election of the Bureau.
Excellence, Republic of Djibouti, I was called for consultation. Is the agenda now adopted?
Exact. C'est la question qu'on va poser à l'audience.
That's the question we are going to ask to participants. You have the agenda with you, and I'd like you to say if there is a point that you'd like to add to the agenda, or maybe if we can adopt it, as it is. Thank you. I think everybody is silent. I think everybody is in agreement. The agenda is thus adopted.
Republic of Djibouti, our agenda is adopted. Now I would like to request the Honorable Ministers of all IGAD member states to join the Honorable Ministers at the high table for a family photo of ministers. Please come forward. I would like to request Bob and the media team to very quickly take that family photo of ministers. After the family photo, I'll request all the high table dignitaries to join the plenary high table so that we can go to the next session.
That is on.
Excellencies, thank you very much for the opening ceremony. Thank you for your guidance, for your deliberations. I would like to request you to take your seats at the plenary side. And indeed, I would like Please take your seats, honorable ministers. For the last 2 days, we have been led by a top-notch expert of IGAD Secretariat, Charles Obila, who is a specialist on the platform, IGAD support platform, the Global Compact on Migration. He's a migration governance specialist at the IGAD Secretariat. And now Charles has a short video for you, Excellencies. It's a 3-minute video. After this, I would like to say thank you very much. My role ends here. I hand over to His Excellency, the Executive Secretary. Thank you.
First, I wish to welcome all of you to the 2025 Ministerial Stocktake meeting on the IGAD support platform. We have witnessed an increased number of actors and initiatives for addressing forced displacement in our regions.
As we gather today, we are reminded that the challenges facing our region remain complex, evolving, and deeply interconnected.
Cette réunion ministérielle occupe une place stratégique. Elle nous offre l'occasion d'évaluer collectivement les progrès accomplis, de mesurer le niveau de réalisation de nos engagements au titre du Pacte mondial sur les réfugiés, d'identifier les lacunes persistantes et surtout de réaffirmer notre volonté politique d'aller plus loin.
Refugees should not be encamped, but allowed to move freely, use their agency, and contribute to the societies and communities within which they are displaced.
The government of Ethiopia is also keen to bring about private sectors in the refugee hosting areas, and not only on that, but also private sectors contribute for the creation of job and livelihood and other opportunity for the refugee.
We have integrated refugees in our healthcare services. Right now, if you go to SHA portal, refugees in Kenya can comfortably register under SHA.
On a une loi nationale sur les réfugiés qui constitue l'un des cadres juridiques les plus avancés de la région. Parce que la loi garantit un environnement de protection favorable aux réfugiés, leur permettant aussi de jouir des droits fondamentaux, notamment l'intégration socio-économique et l'accès aux services vitaux tels que l'éducation, la santé, l'emploi, la libre circulation et la naturalisation.
Uganda has developed a national self-reliance measurement index, and it will be launched on 27th of this month. That means that we'll be able to tell who is a self-reliant refugee and who is not.
In November 2024, we had the Refugees and Asylum Seekers Law that was signed by the President of the Parliament, which provides a lot of provisions when it comes to protection and finding solutions for refugees.
We have now acceded to 1954 Convention and 1961 to address the issue of statelessness. And then there is an issue of giving out the nationality cards, and then also making sure that there is documentation for all the populations, the returnees, including the refugees.
What we propose for the next is that we treat several crises by adopting a region-wide approach. Because, I mean, many of your countries are experiencing the same issues, so we feel like we need to broaden a bit the scope of our support.
It's always very amazing to really visit the spaces where refugees are hosted and to see the actual integration. Some of it actually happen in the absence of policies, but through innovation and the political will, particularly of the local leaders. It also shapes the policy discussions within the region.
Bien, nous allons passer donc au...
We are now going to move to the next point of the agenda. So we are going to review together all progress that has been accomplished by each and every country when it comes to the Nairobi process. So I'm going to call upon Uganda, the representative, the Minister of Uganda, to talk to us, to explain the progress that has been accomplished when it comes to the Nairobi process. Uganda, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Your Excellencies, the Executive Secretary of IGAD, Your Excellency, the guest of honor and host, Excellencies, colleague ministers, international partners, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor to address this esteemed gathering of the IGAD stock-taking meeting in this beautiful city of Nairobi. Today we come together to reaffirm our collective regional commitment to the Nairobi Declaration and Global Compact for Refugees pledges, from admission rights to local integration and fostering durable solutions to refugees, building resilient refugee communities, and a call to our shared responsibilities under international refugee and human rights frameworks. I want to thank the IGAD leadership and the member states for their commitment to the Nairobi Declaration since its adoption in March 2017 by our heads of states, and continuing the pursuit of durable solutions in the region and its alignment with the Global Compact for Refugees. Your leadership in this area remains key and relevant to foster the objectives of the organization. I'd like to highlight the global alignment with the Global Compact on Refugees and IGAD's role as a regional leader, to which we are part as Uganda. Since 2017, as IGAD member states, we have advanced a whole-of-society approach to address forced displacement and mixed migration. The Nairobi Declaration and its thematic plans of action namely education, health, livelihoods, self-reliance, have operationalized commitments to integrate refugees and host communities into national systems. Key milestones include the IGAD Policy Framework on Refugee Protection 2023, Regional Pledges of GRF 2023, and the launch of the IGAD Refugee Engagement Forum 2024. Uganda, as you are aware, hosts the highest number of refugees in the region with 1.96 million refugees, and we will likely have 2 million refugees by end of the year, given the annual trends and forced displacement dynamics in the region. As we continue our collective efforts to address the complex challenges facing displaced populations, I'd like to emphasize key areas requiring your concerted support and strategic action. Number one, enhanced support for voluntary returns through prioritization and streamlining processes that facilitate safe, dignified, and voluntary return for refugees and internally displaced persons. And this requires A, allocation of resources to expand reintegration programs and community stabilization initiatives in countries of origin and return areas. B, strengthen coordination among humanitarian, development, and peace actors to ensure returns are sustainable and aligned with local recovery efforts. Number two, strengthening the humanitarian development peace HDR nexus by A, fostering integrated multi-year programming that bridges humanitarian response with development and peace building strategies. B, encouragement of joint planning and funding approaches that promote resilience, self-reliance, and social cohesion in host communities and displaced populations. And C, invest in locally led initiatives that enhance conflict prevention, peace building, and infrastructure development to create an enabling environment for durable solutions. Number three, adoption of flexible and innovative financing mechanisms through A, support for the development and scaling of flexible financing models, including pooled funds, blended finance, and results-based financing to adapt swiftly to evolving needs. B, advocating for increased donor commitments that empower national and local actors through direct funding streams and capacity building support. C, promoting innovative financing instruments that incentivize and de-risk private sector engagement and investment in solutions for displacement-related challenges. We urge your continued support to mobilize resources, strengthen partnerships, and implement policies that uphold the dignity and rights of displaced populations while promoting stability and resilience in affected regions. Reaffirming our commitment, I reaffirm Uganda's commitment to working closely with IGAD member states, international partners, and the broader global community to turn these commitments into meaningful actions for economic and social inclusion and climate resilience. Uganda remains steadfast in its dedication to support the global refugee response agenda. We reaffirm our unwavering commitment to implement the objectives of the Global Compact on Refugees, emphasizing inclusion, self-reliance, and durable solutions for those fleeing conflict and persecution, and look forward to the outcome document of this meeting. Additionally, I do reaffirm our enduring commitment to the pledges made during the 2023 Global Refugee Forum, aiming to enhance the following. 1, resilience and self-reliance of refugees. 2, transition and integration of services management. 3, localization of the refugee response. 4, addressing climate and environment challenges. And 5, promoting durable solutions. And within that, importantly, to promote voluntary return of refugees to their home countries. Our collective efforts are vital in building resilient communities that can sustainably support their populations, whether they are locals or newcomers. We recognize that successful support to hosting refugees depends on strong partnerships, resource mobilization, and innovative approaches tailored to our regional contexts. I want to conclude with a message of hope that it is possible for forcibly displaced persons not only to have critical support, but to become empowered to rebuild their lives and contribute positively to our shared prosperity. I also share the sentiments of the representative of refugees to the extent that addressing the causal aspects of forced displacements plus deliberate measures of return and integration are more effective and critical, and even ultimately offset the need or idea of having permanent representation of refugees within the structures of IGAD. Last, I thank the message from the World Bank for the pledged support, which goes some way in easing the pressure of heavy lifting that we bear as a refugee hosting country. I thank you for your kind attention.
Nous remercions donc
we thank His Excellency David Muhoozi for this speech which covered everything, and it allowed us to understand the progress that has been accomplished. And so we thank you for being supportive when it comes to this agenda. Equally, thank you for taking into consideration the future objectives of our work in order to ensure that refugees can have so that there be less pressure. Right now, I'd like to give the floor to
Albino Akol Atak, Ministre of South Sudan, pour donc également aussi nous faire part des progrès.
Who is going to tell us the progress that has been accomplished by his country. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative of Chair of IGAD, Executive Secretary, my colleague ministers, representative of all the partners, UNHCR and others, developmental partners, the donor community, civil society, the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin on behalf of the government of the Republic of South Sudan and the people by expressing our deep appreciation to IGAD for convening this important ministerial stock-taking meeting. We also extend sincere gratitude to the government and the people of the Republic of Kenya for their warm hospitality and continued commitment to supporting displaced populations across the region. Our thanks equally go to UNHCR, donors and partners whose sustained engagement remains vital to protection and solution efforts. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting comes at a crucial moment. Our region faces escalating displacement driven by conflict, particularly the ongoing crisis in the Republic of Sudan, alongside climate shocks and diminishing humanitarian resources. Despite these challenges, our shared resolve remains unwavering. Today's meeting provides an opportunity to reflect, recalibrate, and jointly reinforce our commitment to responsibility sharing, inclusion, and regional solidarity. As we prepare to consider and endorse the final communique that our experts participated in, I wish to reaffirm South Sudan's full support for its priorities and direction. The communique builds on the Nairobi Declaration and its plan of action, the thematic declarations in Djibouti, Kampala, and Mombasa, and our collective pledges under Global Refugees Forum. It charts practical paths to strengthen national system, advance self-reliance, promote climate-responsive programming, and ensure the meaningful participation of refugees, IDPs, returnees, stateless persons, and the host communities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, South Sudan remains firmly committed to these shared aspirations. Our durable solution and plan of action is driving national ownership of our 2023 GRF pledges. We continue to make progress on legal reforms, inclusion in livelihoods, and civil documentation. And as we speak, more than 600,000 people are being hosted by the Republic of South Sudan as refugees, and they have been actually facilitated for all what I have just mentioned. For instance, more than 80 professors has been actually observed into our national learning institution. More than 50 medical personnel from refugees has already been given the opportunity to have their own private hospitals. Lands for agriculture has been provided for the refugees for them to also see their livelihood, and licensing for the businesses has also been offered. Our accession to the 1954 and 1961 Statelessness Convention underscores our commitment to safeguarding the most vulnerable. Nevertheless, increasing spontaneous returns, deep economic pressures, and severe reduction in humanitarian funding or financing continue to strain our national capacity. I was very happy to hear that the refugees are willing to go back to South Sudan. And of course, as the government, we respect the will of refugees for them to go back. And that we have taken note and serious note for us to work on that. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to complement the communique, the Republic of South Sudan recommends the following regional priorities for collective advancement. Because in these meetings, as IGAD members state, we're supposed to talk about solution, concrete steps that will allow us to put an end to this situation of refugees in our region. And as it was said by the refugees representative, what we need is not only to manage the status of refugees in the region, but to get the solution of the root causes. So we are actually proposing the following. One, a regional compact for predictable financing, because we have been talking about cut in finance, and we should not even continue talking about cut in finance or resources, because this is a reality. We should go ahead, look for a solution. An IGAD-led mechanism to stabilize essential services, cushion funding cuts, and enable longer-term solution. Number two, cross-border development and regional and reintegration corridors, joint socio-economic and infrastructural investment in border regions hosting displaced population. Number 3, regional climate resilient package, targeted adaptation financing for displacement affected hotspots, including key return and refugees hosting areas. Number 4, a joint multi-hazard early warning and rapid response system, strengthening IGAD's ability to anticipate, monitor, and respond to emerging crises, especially the evolving situation in Sudan. 5, mutual recognition of skills and qualifications across the IGAD, allowing displaced professionals to contribute meaningfully throughout the region, enhancing services and social cohesion. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I wish to commend the experts who have worked tirelessly over the last 2 days to produce a comprehensive and forward-looking communique. Their technical expertise and dedication reflects the spirit of cooperation that defines IGAD's work. I hereby confirm that the Republic of South Sudan fully endorses the recommendations of the expert meetings as captured in the communique. The Republic of South Sudan will remain at the forefront of implementing this declaration, working closely with the IGAD member states, UNHCR, donors, and other stakeholders to translate these commitments into concrete action. With unity, solidarity, and innovation, we can transform challenges into opportunities and advance a future of stability, resilience, and shared responsibility for our region. I thank you.
Merci et félicitations.
Thank you and congratulations, Albino Attack from South Sudan. Congratulations once again, because I can see that that South Sudan, despite the challenges, is honoring its commitment, and we would like to thank you for supporting the communique that's going to be shared later on. The proposal is the proposals made are pertinent. The action plan in South Sudan is about sustainable solutions, and we would like to congratulate you for effectively integrating refugees. And you have also given figures: 80 teachers who are working within the national education system, and doctors, the 50 doctors who have been allowed to open their own practices. And so we also congratulate you for the various recommendations that you have shared with us, and which are going to allow us to deal with root causes. Now, allow me to give the floor to Ali Yusuf, Minister of the Interior from Somalia.
Chair IGAD, Minister Said, I will make my remarks in Somali language. qabanqaabayaasha shirka dowladda walaalaha aan nahay ee Kenya iyo wasiirkeeda Kichunga.
Our gracious host, the government of Somalia and its Minister of Interior, the IGAD Executive Secretary, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives from the United Nations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to participate in this conference today. I am very happy to be here with you today and to present you a situational update on Somalia. I extend my sincere appreciation to IGAD, the government of Kenya, the core group members, all partners here today for their continued leadership and commitment to regional cooperation on displacement and durable solutions. Somalia continues to face one of the most complex displacement situations in the IGAD region. We are currently hosting 4.1 million internally displaced persons as a result of climate shocks, conflict, and long-standing humanitarian pressures. At the same time, our country has welcomed back more than 243,000 Somali returnees since 2014. Our country also continues to host over 45,000 refugees and asylum seekers from countries such as Syria, Sudan, Yemen, and others. Despite these challenges, Somalia remains fully committed to the principles and ambitions of the Nairobi Declaration. Over the years, we have worked consistently to translate these commitments into concrete improvements for refugees, IDPs, returnees, and the communities that host them. I am very pleased to report to you that Somalia has made meaningful and measurable progress. We have taken significant steps to strengthen our national policy and legal frameworks, including the passage of the Refugee and Asylum Seekers Act in 2023, and most recently the approval of the IDP bill earlier this month. These milestones bring our national systems into closer alignment with regional and international standards. Furthermore, Somalia has adopted key strategic frameworks to guide long-term solutions, including the National Durable Solutions Strategy in 2022. Meanwhile, reintegration efforts are increasingly community-driven, focusing on ensuring returnees are not only welcomed but supported to rebuild their lives in a sustainable and dignified manner. Our partnership with IGAD, UNHCR, IOM, World Bank, the European Union, Germany, and other partners have strengthened protection, service delivery, and resilience in displacement-affected areas. Ladies and gentlemen, we must also acknowledge that challenges that continue to affect the realization of durable solutions. Security conditions in some areas make it difficult to guarantee safe and voluntary return. Critical infrastructure remains under strain, particularly in education, health, water, energy, and transport. Climate-related shocks continue to displace thousands of families each year, stretching communities' coping systems to their limit. Furthermore, Somalia's ongoing counter-terrorism operations, while absolutely necessary for national and regional security, may generate new displacement and will require additional humanitarian and stabilization support. To address these challenges, Somalia calls for stronger and more predictable development financing and enhanced regional cooperation, particularly with neighboring states, and greater support greater support to climate adaptation initiatives that include displacement and returning populations. In closing, Somalia reaffirms its commitment to the Nairobi Declaration, the Global Compact on Refugees, and the IGAD support platform. We stand ready to continue working closely with all IGAD member states and partners to advance protection, strengthen regional stability, and develop durable solutions for displacement affected populations. Through shared responsibility, solidarity, and long-term investment, we can build a more secure and hopeful future for the people of our region. We also want to express our support and solidarity with our brothers in Sudan.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ali Yusuf Ali. You have really explained that Somalia, despite being in a very difficult situation, has nevertheless, in terms of refugees, remains supportive, is part of the Nairobi Declaration, and you have around 4 million internally displaced people. So we congratulate you because you have been able to reintegrate more than 250,000 Somalis in their own country. We congratulate you. And IGAD, as well as its partners, are going to work together with you to deal with the issue of lack of support in order for you to strengthen basic services and also to deal with issues emanating from climate change. So thank you, Somalia. I'd like now to give the floor to the representative of Kenya.
Thank you very much, Chair. The statement I'm going to make is just building on what already I had made earlier. I'm trying to find ways of saving time for all of us so that I don't become repetitive. First of all, let me say that once again, on behalf of the Republic of Kenya, it's my pleasure to participate in this important Ministerial stock-taking meeting on the National Declaration on the 2018 Global Compact Refugees. We appreciate all the stakeholders, IGAD and all the stakeholders, and that the Nairobi Declaration, commonly known as the Nairobi Process and its accompanying action plan, came at a crucial moment following the New York Declaration. It remains a landmark regional commitment to pursue comprehensive, sustainable and coordinated solutions for internally displaced persons, refugees, returnees, and host communities. We also recognize the value of the thematic declaration covering education, health, jobs, and livelihoods and durable solutions. Under the Nairobi process, we made various commitments to strengthen these areas of commitment. And Kenya made specific pledges, and I'd like to report the progress we have made so far. Allow me to highlight these measures or the progress we've made. The first is on the legal and policy reforms. Through the Refugee Act of 2021, Kenya has advanced to self-reliance and socio-economic inclusion in line with the Kampala Declaration on Jobs and Livelihoods. We continue to reinforce legal and administrative systems that enhance access to registration and documentation. The Refugee ID has been upgraded to a digital ID with over 400,000 refugees linked to the Integrated Population Registration System of Kenya. Number 2 is on skills and livelihoods. To promote employability, Kenya has rolled out recognition of prior learning, enabling the assessment and certification of refugee skills. Refugees are increasingly accessing work and business permits, and more than 100 community-based organizations have been registered, enhancing localization of community leadership. On financial inclusion, the SIM card subscriber registration regulations now recognize the refugee ID as a Know Your Customer document. This has enabled refugees to register SIM cards and access mobile money services, an important step in transitioning from humanitarian dependency to resilience. Many refugees were struggling to transact, and Kenya is largely a mobile banking country, and this is the latest area of progress, and we are now currently rolling out this SIM card registration for refugees for purpose of mobile money, banking, and mobile banking. In line with the 2017 Djibouti Declaration, refugees, now that's the fourth, which is education. In line with the 2017 Djibouti Declaration, refugees access education from basic to tertiary levels under Kenya's competence-based curriculum. Through the window for host communities and refugees, under the Kenya Primary Education Equity in Learning Program, teacher support has been strengthened and school improvement plans are implemented. Over 121,504 learners in camp-based schools have benefited from school meals, while both refugee and host communities learners receive Elimu scholarships. Number 5 is on health. Kenya continues to expand access to universal health coverage in line with the 2022 Mombasa Declaration on Refugee and Cross-Border Health. More than 100,000 refugees are now enrolled in the Kenya's revamped social health insurance fund. Number 6, documentation and protection. Kenya has gazetted key refugee documents to access public and private sector service and enhance registration and refugee status determination process to ensure timely access to critical documentation. Number 7 is durable solutions. In line with the 1951 Convention on the 2019 and the 2019 Munyonyo Declaration, Kenya continues to pursue resettlement through spaces. Those spaces remain limited while expanding complementary pathways including labor, mobility, education, and sports. Number 8, regional peace and stability. In the spirit of the Nairobi process, Kenya has made significant contribution to peace efforts in Somalia, previously as an AMISOM troop contributing country, transitioning to ATMIS, and continues to support regional conflict resolution efforts. Honorable Ministers, in March 2025, Kenya launched the Shirika Plan, one of our main pledges at the 2023 Global Refugee Forum. Shirika Plan represents a transformative shift from encampment to inclusion and self-reliance. It provides a comprehensive framework for integrating refugees and host community into national systems, ensuring access to services such as education, health, water and sanitation, and livelihoods through government structures at both national and county levels. As part of this transition, Dadaab and Kakuma have been earmarked, chartered as municipalities under the Urban Support Program, paving the way for the enhanced infrastructure development in these areas. Despite these achievements, host countries, including Kenya, continue to face growing pressure that risk undermining progress towards Global Compact on refugees and IGAD commitments. The key challenges are sharp reduction in funding for refugee programs, increased earmarking for donor funding, security challenges, environmental degradation, continued large-scale influxes and gaps between pledges and actual financing or implementation. Without meaningful burden and responsibility sharing, achieving the objectives of the GCR will be impossible. Recalling the 2016 New York Declaration, which laid the foundation for the 2018 Global Compact on Refugees, the 4 core objectives remain the relevant as then as today, and as I already listed in my earlier remarks. They are easing pressure on host countries, enhancing refugee self-reliance, expanding third country solutions, and supporting conditions for safe, dignified return by addressing the root causes. Durable solutions thus require sustained, predictable funding and investment. Even as the global community shifts to humanitarian development forecast models, renewed commitment from donors and development partners is imperative. Partners remain critical. The Nairobi Declaration underscores that durable solutions in our region must be anchored in peace, stability, and development in countries of origin. Honorable Ministers, as we look ahead, Kenya calls on the international community to support the following priorities. 1, sustain development and gains through long-term predictable financing. 2, advancing economic inclusion and resilience for refugees and host communities. 3, ensuring host communities are central to programming, leaving no one behind. And 4, strengthening regional stability as the foundation for durable and sustainable solutions. We encourage all partners, traditional and non-traditional, and the private sector to work collaboratively with government to promote economic development in refugee hosting areas, thereby strengthening self-reliance and resilience. 7 years since adoption of GCR, our work remains unfinished. Kenya reaffirms its unwavering commitment to deeper regional cooperation to address and resolve protracted displacement. As we approach the Global Refugee Forum midterm review in December, we look forward to concrete shifts in approach and tangible programs on the pledges we made in 2023. In conclusion, let us collectively reaffirm our resolve to fully implement the Nairobi Declaration and its plan of action, and to continue championing dignity, self-reliance, and hope for the millions affected by displacement across our region. Asanteni.
Merci.
Thank you, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, for telling us the progress that has been accomplished by Kenya. So we would like to thank you for being in tandem with the Declaration of Nairobi, because you have carried out the actions that are recommended therein. And indeed, we have seen that among the progress accomplished by Kenya, we have seen this progress, and we would like to thank you for this. We have seen that there are around 100 community-based organizations which have been registered by the refugees, and the issue of SIM cards to allow them to use mobile money and banking services. We note progress in education, schools, the 100,000 people who are part of the SHA. Also, congratulations for the Shirika plan, which is part of integration and inclusion. It is extraordinary. The refugee camps are now going to be turned into municipalities. There are many other progresses. So congratulations once again to Kenya. We think that hope is there thanks to this presentation. Now I'm going to give the floor to Ethiopia, its representative.
Excellency, Dr. Workane Gabayo, Executive Secretary of IGAD, Honorable Onesmos Kipchuma, Kenyan Cabinet Secretary for the Interior and the National Administration, distinguished guests, excellencies from our donors and main partners, all protocol observed, good morning once again. Ethiopia remains firmly committed to the Nairobi Declaration, the action plan, the thematic areas for protection, education, jobs and livelihoods, health, and the broader objectives of the IGAD support platform. Our national approach continues to reflect the principles of solidarity, responsibility sharing, and inclusive development. We reaffirm that refugee protection is not only a humanitarian imperative, but also a development and peace-building priority for Ethiopia. Over the past years, Ethiopia has made major progress in operationalizing inclusion commitments across education, health, livelihoods, documentation, protection, and public service delivery. These achievements reflect strong government ownership, partnership with IGAD and other partners, alignment with the Global Compact on Refugees, and changing the policy-enabled environment to action and practice. When we see the progress in education and inclusion, education continues to be a pillar of Ethiopia's displacement response. The government has advanced refugee inclusion across all levels of the national education system. Through access to national system, a lot of progress has been recorded. Refugee children and adolescents are enrolled alongside Ethiopian students in public schools in hosting regions and urban areas. All secondary schools transferred to the Ministry of Education through Regional Education Bureau management. Refugee enrollment in secondary schools has increased despite the recent serious encounter on predictable funding that challenge the enrollment rate and the quality of secondary education. Public universities continue to admit refugees based on national standards with scholarship support modalities. Refugees have full access to public TVT institutions with competency-based training linked to local labor markets in hospitality, construction, manufacturing, agriculture, and digital services. Refugees are now integrated into the national TVT strategy as a part of Ethiopia's GRF pledge to expand skills development. Regional education bureaus, in partnership with my office, RRS, and development partners, have expanded classrooms and deployed additional teachers to reduce overcrowding, despite still there is a huge gap. Continuing provision of revised curriculum textbooks to refugee students, continuing provision of school grant budget for equipping the schools to facilitate the teaching learning process, maintaining classrooms and wash facilities, harmonization of services like updating trainings on teaching methodologies and life skill trainings to refugee school communities, and awareness raising trainings on the climate change and environmental protection to the refugee and host communities at schools. Second, on advancing health and social services, health inclusion has remained a core priority in the Nairobi process implementation. Refugees have full access to primary, secondary, and referral health services in public health facilities. Joint health committees at Warada level coordinate cost sharing, supply allocation, and referral pathways between RRs and the Ministry of Health structures. The government is gradually expanding the community-based health insurance (CBHI) scheme to refugee and refugee hosting communities by exploring future inclusion of urban refugees as a pilot. Refugees with chronic health conditions receive specialized care through national system with referral mechanisms. The third one is strengthening protection system. Protection remains the central pillar of Ethiopia's response and foundational element of the Nairobi process. Under registration and documentation, my country has been conducting a comprehensive registration premise-based exercise issuing secure digital refugee IDs. Linkage of refugee IDs to the national FIDA system is ongoing, improving access to banking, SIM registration, and social services. The other one is child protection and gender-based violence response. Case management systems are strengthened through joint work with the Bureau of Women and Social Affairs, police commissions, and justice institutions. Safe houses, psychosocial support centers, and community-based protection networks are operating in major camps and urban areas. The other one, again, legal aid and civil documentation. Newborn refugee children receive birth certificates through the vital events registration services. Legal aid clinics in universities support refugees with RRS facilitation. The last one is under this thematic is durable solutions and socio-economic inclusion. Inclusive and area-based development programs such as the RDIP, Phase 2, ERD, Prospectus, and Horizon strengthen infrastructure, skills, markets, and public services for both refugees and host communities. Work permits, bank accounts, and business licenses create a practical foundation for self-resilience. When we see the multi-stakeholder coordination and governance, Ethiopia's implementation of the Nairobi process is anchored in a whole-of-government approach led by Refugee and Return Service, a whole-of-society approach, engaging private sector, civil society, refugee-led organizations, phase-based groups, and development partners. Alignment with planning instruments such as the National 10-Year Development Plan and the draft marketed inclusion roadmap. The challenges requiring coordinated action. Despite all this progress, as a country, we are facing many challenges. Limited financing for infrastructure, expansion in education, health, and WASH in refugee hosting areas. Limited capacities of refugee hosting regions. Market and investment barriers in remote hosting regions. Skills mismatch between refugees and the labor market demands. Humanitarian funding declines, putting pressure on basic services and social cohesion. Unpredictable funding, short-term project-based financing hinders the long-term vision of inclusive development. Environmental degradation and climate shocks affecting displacement areas. These challenges underline the importance of predictable financing, regional harmonization, and a greater private sector participation. Ethiopia's call to partners in the region, the countries remains fully committed to the Nairobi Declaration and the regional displacement agenda. We call for strengthened multi-year development financing to support inclusion and resilience. Invest in integrated solutions that address displacement and development, regional harmonization of policies on work permits and recognition of skills. Investment in education, health, and urban systems to support both refugees and Ethiopian host communities for better self-reliance. Secure, predictable financing, push for long-term development funding frameworks aligned with national strategies and GRF commitments. Import partnerships with IGAD, national institutions, and global platforms to accelerate solutions. Greater private sector engagement to unlock economic opportunities aligned with national priorities. In conclusion, Ethiopia reiterates its strong political commitment to the Nairobi process. Through sustained regional cooperation and integration, shared responsibility and development-driven approach, we can transform the refugee response into a platform for stability, prosperity, and resilience for all communities across our region. Ethiopia Hands for Humanity. I thank you very much.
Merci à Madame.
Thank you, Madam Taiba Hassan, Director in charge of refugees in the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Just like other IGAD member states, a lot of progress has been realized in Ethiopia, and we are going to share this slogan that these were commitments that were translated into action in education, health, in terms of strengthening competencies among refugee children through vocational training. There is buying of equipment for their schools, strengthening health care for refugees who are being cared for just like Ethiopian citizens. There is a reference mechanism, and they are also facilitated to access mobile money services through giving them SIM cards, permits to work, to launch their own enterprises. All this is integrated in the National Development Plan within Ethiopia. So congratulations to Ethiopia. Challenges. The challenges are similar for all countries, and I think there is limited funding for expanding infrastructure. So we have to ensure that the refugees' skills match what's required by labor market. So your recommendations are taken into consideration, and what we take here is that Ethiopia is renewing its commitment vis-à-vis the Nairobi Declaration. Congratulations, thus, to Ethiopia. I'm now going to change my hat in order to tell you the progress that we have accomplished in Djibouti. So today I'm going to be the Minister of Interior, so I'm going to wear another hat. All protocols observed, kindly allow me to share with you the progress that has been accomplished by the Republic of Djibouti. In conformity with the presentation for the last 2 days by our experts, on behalf of Djibouti, I'd like to talk about what we have accomplished in carrying out our regional commitments under the Nairobi Declaration, the Djibouti Declaration on Education for Refugees, the Kampala Declaration on Economic Empowerment, and the Mombasa Declaration on Health Inclusion. I would also like to attract your attention on the major challenges that our region is faced with, especially the crisis of funding, which is really hurting the UNHCR and all humanitarian work. This situation requires a collective response and in an urgent manner in order to ensure that this issue does not become unsustainable for member states, and this could also create tensions between refugees and host communities. In terms of progress, I'd like to tell you that the Republic of Djibouti has had huge progress in the implementation of the Nairobi process, especially through the expansion of protection and the asylum space. The adoption of the national laws on refugees, supported by the two enforcement decrees, constitutes today a general framework, judicial framework that is progressive and inclusive. And all this was designed in order to create an environment that is supportive of protection for refugees who today have the same rights, same fundamental rights as our nationals. This is a huge gain and we are really proud of it. In terms of education, since the adoption of the Djibouti Declaration, the Republic of Djibouti has intensified its efforts to integrate refugee children in public schools. The harmonization of curriculum for educational continuity, it has also strengthened the capacity of teachers in order to ensure that these children are taken care of in a proper manner. Today we can report that several brilliant refugee children have benefited from the Djibouti government, which has given them scholarships just like nationals in order for them to go study outside the country. In terms of employment and empowerment, as part of the Kampala Declaration, Djibouti launched several initiatives in terms of economic inclusion, whether these are vocational training in key sectors such as mechanics, plumbing, cloth work, creation of women groups. Refugees and host communities are organized under cooperatives and they are together developing the enterprises, and they are even importing goods from Dubai or China. And these groups have their bank accounts in our credit and saving cooperatives. So thanks to this inclusive framework, together we are doing a lot, and many refugees have their own commercial licenses and they are contributing directly to the national economy. In terms of health, and in conformity with the Mombasa Declaration, they have access to the whole national health system from level 1 to level 3. There is a referral system that is there in order to ensure continuity of tertiary and secondary services. And this is despite the huge cost of taking care of chronic diseases. Refugee children have benefit from mobile medical services which are organized by the Ministry of Health without any discrimination during vaccination campaigns which are being launched across the country, especially against very frequent diseases such as polio and others. Despite the progress accomplished, just like other countries, challenges exist, and this is particularly due to the crisis of funding for humanitarian work. So today we are having some funding deficits which are compromising the continuity of essential programs in education, health, water and hygiene, protection and basic assistance, and also the fight against climate change. This situation is a real risk, and it can frustrate refugee populations which in the absence of appropriate interventions, can generate a lot of tension with host communities. In terms of recommendation, in order for refugees to become a lever for inclusive development and not baggage, the Republic of Djibouti is making the following recommendations. 1, strengthen sharing of responsibility across the region and internationally by putting in place financial solidarity mechanisms, a regional fund in an urgent manner, and mechanisms for budget stability in order to ensure continuity of service, essential services. 2, support the voluntary return program for refugees and the reintegration of refugees in that countries as part of the shared responsibility. 3, intensify advocacy among multilateral and bilateral donors in order for them to restore and stabilize humanitarian funding by highlighting the security and health and education consequences which can emanate from lack of funding. In conclusion, I'd like to say that the approach that we are advancing is clear. Protection of refugees is a collective responsibility which should be translated into sustainable mechanisms in terms of funding and inclusive mechanisms which can benefit both refugees and host communities. The Republic of Djibouti reaffirms completely its commitment to continue implementing the declaration, the Nairobi, Djibouti, and Kampala and Mombasa declarations. It will going to continue to open spaces for welcoming and protecting refugees, and we are also calling on partners to share, to translate their commitments into technical, political, and financial support. I'd like to express a huge gratitude to IGAD and UNHCR and all development partners for their collaboration, for their continued collaboration. Lastly, I'd like to thank IGAD for its advocacy for sustainable solutions for refugees across our region. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Excellency Chair. After we heard from our member states, Excellency Ministers, we are very much encouraged, really, by the progress from our member states in the activities that our member states are taking place. Indeed, today's discussion also clearly shows that the clear solidarity among our member states, and most importantly, the citizens of the region. As we have already said, the refugees, the displaced peoples are the son of the soil. These are the citizens of this region, most of them. So the encouragement based upon the achievement that you have presented here to the IGAD is really commendable. I want to congratulate all of you. This is a very important milestone, should be recognized. You have also mentioned the challenges that you are facing and the region is facing, and beyond the region, some of the challenges that we are facing are the common challenges as Africa. Most importantly, in the area of financing and hosting refugees. This is the area which we continue to work together. IGAD is here to contact, communicate with our partners who are here and the other partners who really come to this very important intervention, which will really help the human capital and investing to human capital. So this is well taken from you, that the issue of advocacy and the issue of the shortage of finance. Your Excellencies, as a region, we have a lot of best examples. Our member states, most of our member states really host the refugees not as refugees. There are a lot of points that you have mentioned, the issue of banking, the issue of birth certificate, education, health, all the issues that you have said is, in most of the places, it may be very difficult to incorporate the refugees in the national development agenda. So this is very, very encouraging. The other point that I want to also stress is your recommendation points. Djibouti, Kenya, South Sudan, Somalia, Uganda, Ethiopia, all of you has forwarded some of very important points that will help us as a secretariat to coordinate the next steps forward. These points definitely, either we will put it on this communique if it is not touched, or we will take it to our plan, our plan which we are going to engage for the next time. So there are a very beautiful recommendations which really can support this platform. So I can say this, that this is the most practical platform in terms of IGAD organization. We are talking about the real thing, the real challenge that our community is facing. So really, this is, you have to be very, very proud on this engagement, and the outcome of this meeting is also it's a big news, a very good news for our brothers and sisters who are in the cities or in the campus, wherever they are, but they are struggling to survive. And as the refugee representative said, maybe after they nurture, they get different things. When their countries are okay, they want to go back. So we will work on that area. I can assure you that the Secretariat is here to serve all member states on the direction that you have discussed. Thank you, Chair.
Merci, Dr Orkene Gebeyou, secrétaire exécutif de l'IGAD, pour cette mise au point. Je voudrais qu'on passe maintenant à la...
Right now, we would like to move into the next point of the agenda, which is the presentation of the communique.
Where is Charles? Let us not take the time of our guests. Let us start. Okay, go on.
Je pense que tout le monde a devant lui le communiqué.
I think everybody received the communique, right? It is readable.
Through the communique. Communique of the Ministerial Stocktake meeting of the IGAD support platform, 27 November 2025, Nairobi, Republic of Kenya. We, the ministers responsible for refugees affairs, internal affairs, and related sectors of member states of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, His Excellency Said Nur Hassan, Minister of Interior of the Republic of Djibouti, Her Excellency Taiba Hassan Kayo, Director General for Refugees and Returnee Services of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, His Excellency Ali Yusuf Ali, Minister of Interior, Federal Affairs and Reconciliation of the Federal Republic of Somalia, His Excellency Albino Akol Atak, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management of the Republic of South Sudan, His Excellency David Rabukuba Muhozi, Minister of State for Internal Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, and His Excellency Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, Cabinet Secretary for the Interior and National Administration of the Republic of Kenya, meeting on the 27th November 2025 in Nairobi, Republic of Kenya, under the chairmanship of the Republic of Djibouti and in the presence of His Excellency Dr. Wokne Gebeyehu, the Executive Secretary of IGAD. Also in attendance were representatives of the core group members of the IGAD support platform, namely European Union, Germany, World Bank, UNHCR, UNDP, IOM, and international development partners including JICA, Cities Alliance, UN Habitat, REDS, and Samuel Hall. Also present were representatives of the refugee-led organization, civil society organization, and academia. Recalling the 2017 Nairobi Declaration on Durable Solutions for Somali Refugees and Reintegration of Returnees, its action plan, the subsequent thematic declarations adopted in Djibouti, Kampala, and Mombasa, which collectively established a foundational regional framework for protection, inclusion, and sustainable solution for refugees, returnees, IDPs, stateless persons, and host communities across the IGAD region. Further recalling the IGAD ESC Declaration on Durable Solutions for Refugees in Eastern Horn of Africa, June 2023, that called for enhanced and coordinated regional approaches in addressing the root causes and drivers of forced displacement, reaffirming the region's commitment to fully implement the Nairobi Declaration, its subsequent thematic action plans, the IGAD policy framework on refugee protection, and the collective GRF pledges made in 2019 and in 2023. Recognizing the continued relevance of regional, continental, and global frameworks, including the IGAD policy framework on refugee protection 2023, the OAU 1969 Refugee Convention, the Kampala Convention, the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, AU Agenda 2063, the Global Compact on Refugees, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Paris Agreement, and ongoing dialogue on the humanitarian development peace nexus. Next page. Commend IGAD for the establishment and the launch of the IGAD Refugee Engagement Forum as a platform for empowering refugees to engage in decision-making, policy dialogue, and response planning. Applaud the progress made by member states in enhancing legal, policy, and institutional framework on protection and solutions, and commend the progress made in the implementation of the pledges made during the Global Refugee Forum in 2019 and in 2023. Acknowledge the continued support by international partners and the increased involvement of humanitarian development and development actors, private sector, as well as civil society in the provision of services to refugees, returnees, IDPs, and host communities as provided by the Global Compact on Refugees, GCR. Concerned by the ongoing humanitarian situation in the region, particularly the ongoing conflict in the Republic of Sudan, that has resulted in unprecedented levels of displacement both internally and externally. express solidarity with the people of Sudan and call for humanitarian access, immediate ceasefire, and the peaceful resolution to the conflict. Concerned by the declining humanitarian and development funding, particularly the unprecedented reductions affecting the Horn of Africa, thereby impacting multiple programs and underscoring the urgency to support essential services in refugee hosting countries. Now, we hereby, 1, commit to maintain the solidarity and generosity of member states and communities in the region to provide asylums to persons in need of international protection and durable solutions. 2, encourage member states to accelerate implementation of legal frameworks through targeted capacity building, sustained multi-stakeholder coordination, and strengthened data systems. 3, commit to enhance the inclusion of displaced population into national systems in education, including recognition and certification, health, social protection, empowerment, climate action, civil registration, and digital identification. 4, create an enabling environment in countries of origin to encourage return and reintegration efforts and support access to basic services, social protection programs, and documentation. 5, promote the inclusion of displacement-affected communities and their respective host communities in the design and implementation of climate action plans and policies, and scale up accessible financing for host countries to address the environmental and climate change-related challenges. 6, strengthen and operationalize early warning systems and response mechanisms to anticipate, prevent, and manage conflict and crisis situations that may exacerbate displacement. 7, call upon humanitarian and development partners, civil society organizations, and other actors such as private sector to increase their financial and technical support for humanitarian development and peace-building efforts. 8, call for support, inclusion, leadership, and meaningful participation of refugees and organizations led by forcibly displaced and stateless persons in national and regional engagements around protection and durable solution. 9, task IGAD Secretariat to undertake a mapping exercise of ongoing and planned humanitarian and development investment in support of forcibly displaced persons, stateless persons, and host communities in the region to assess the scale and trends of the financial resources available to support delivery of the GRF pledges and the commitments of the Nairobi Plan of Action and its subsequent thematic declarations. 10, further task IGAD to convene regular strategic meetings of the support platform to update stakeholders on the regional dynamics, emerging trends, and development. 11, call on the international community to support ongoing efforts to reestablish peace in the Republic of Sudan. 12, promote government-led whole-of-society approaches at the national and subnational level to facilitate collaboration across humanitarian, development, and peace nexus. Lastly, 13, advance the localization agenda by fostering inclusive partnership with local authorities, civil society organizations, and refugee-led groups, coupled with increased direct budgetary allocation and technical support to strengthen local ownership and sustainability of intervention. Thank the government and the people of the Republic of Kenya for hosting this important meeting, and decide to remain seized of the matter. Done on the 27th November 2025 in Nairobi, Kenya. And then
Merci au coordinateur de programme.
Thank you to the IGAD program coordinator. If there are no reactions with regards to the shared communique, I think it was worked on very well. I'd like to congratulate all who worked on it for the last 2 days in order to prepare this communique. and they did it to ensure that everybody could be in agreement with it. Dear ministers, I think we have to sign this communique. We have to move to the signing of this communique. Thank you.
Excellencies and distinguished delegates, would like to thank all of you for such a vibrant session on the subject of durable solutions for refugees. We honor honorable ministers, we honor all the delegates from our member states and partners. Please, let's all stand up for the national anthem. And I would like to request silence in the room. Please all stand for the national anthem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Excellencies. The IGAD Secretariat is pleased to invite you for lunch. Thank you and safe journey home.